that they just know how to finesse the system. They're going through loopholes. They know exactly where to go and find exactly how to exploit and really run away with it by just connecting everything, their families to the business, using all these resources to extract more resources out of the taxpayer. It's crazy.
This comes as of a 2022 audit of Somali Community Link, a Columbus nonprofit funded in 2020 by Somali migrants, exposed a reported $2.3 million in fraud from federal emergency rental assistance program funds. The investigation flagged missing rental aid, violations of cash management protocols, and inadequate fraud safeguards. Despite these failures, the group, tied to local politicians via campaign donations, secured $350,000 in state funding last summer for a community center, plus $100,000 from Columbus for housing and youth programs. Back in 2020, Somali brothers Hassan and Abdurrahim Nuriso, former owners of Tawfiq Market in Columbus, were indicted for a 9-year snap and wig fraud conspiracy totaling over $10 million. The duo allegedly swapped benefits for cash at half the value. Abdurrahim, who oversaw operations, was sentenced to 2 years behind bars. Hassan got house arrest and probation after a guilty plea.
2 years probation. Another one get house arrest? $10 million? Make it make sense. Who's behind this? It's bigger than the Somalians. It's our federal government and state government behind this. Hey, welcome once again to the TMYK show. I am Mike, your host, better known as Mo. Here's where you get the truth uncut, and we do call a spade a spade. As we've been reporting and we've been sharing and reacting to videos on the scam in Minnesota and dealing with Ilan the Khan and Tampon Tim, I told you this is bigger than we can imagine. There's a brother by the name of Hannibal, and he has a very, very large following, and he has a podcast. And I want to show you a couple of his episodes showing fraud in other places like Ohio and the state of Washington. So as always, if you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, and share. Let's get into this.
Nick Shirley, I hope you see this video. Please come to Columbus, Ohio. And if you come to Columbus, Ohio, you will find the exact same fraud.
More Somali fraud has been exposed out of Ohio. This is getting out of hand, and they're all being exposed.
You get money through the state of Ohio. This is a money that gets.
According to one Midwestern Rhino Republican governor, apparently fraud is just part of doing business now.
So, yes, doing fraud is just a part of business now. That's it, that's all. It's just a part of what we do here. That's all. Just a part of what we do here in the States. Let's continue.
This is one of the many daycare centers, learning centers here in Columbus, Ohio, that are associated with the Somali community. So this place here is the first place we're going to knock, and we're going to see if anybody picks up or answers the door. Let's see. So it's locked. We're ringing the doorbell here, knocking on the door. Nobody's picking up. So we're not sure what the hell's going on here, but we're gonna get out of here. Now there's somebody over there. How you doing, sir? Did you know anything about this place here?
It's a daycare center owned by Somalians and stuff like that.
Do you ever see any kids there?
Not because they use the back door, so I won't know if
They use the back door.
Yeah, I've never seen nobody come in, but they use the back door.
But have you ever seen any kid? You live around here?
Yeah, on this building right here.
Oh, you're in this building?
Yeah.
You're in this building too? Hey, let me ask you, have you ever seen any kids in this place here?
No, not that I know of. They use the back, so I've never seen nobody come out the front.
You also see some potential SNAP benefits that's being taken away too. So
More Somali fraud has been exposed out of Ohio. This is getting out of hand and they're all being exposed. Listen to this. Somalis in Ohio are allegedly running EBT fraud rings using SNAP benefits to stock their restaurants, skimming cards to make millions. More than 34,000 Ohio households have been duped out of nearly 17 million in SNAP benefits from June 2023 to December 2024, with Somali migrant criminals using skimming devices at grocery stores to clone magnetic strip cards and steal the money, according to the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services.
Remember I told you 81% of Somalians are on some type of government benefit. How are they a benefit to our country? How are they fabric to our country? Help me understand. How is that even happening? And we have our own people born, raised in America, are American citizens, not naturalized, are American citizens, generational Americans that are suffering from not having enough help. But we can bring people in from foreign countries and allow them to dupe us like this. It's ridiculous.
In addition, a recent report details how Somali-owned restaurants and grocery stores in Columbus are exploiting benefits. According to the report, migrants own restaurants with attached grocery stores that they own. They buy their ingredients in bulk with SNAP from their grocery stores, then funnel the food to their restaurants where they sell it for cash. One report claims that the Somali migrant men who own the restaurants typically have numerous wives. That's crazy. They only have to claim their first wife so that subsequent wives are able to collect welfare benefits that are then used to prop up the stores and
yeah, they're Muslims, and usually Muslims are able to have more than one wife. But you can see that they just know how to finesse the system. They're going through loopholes. They know exactly where to go and find exactly how to exploit and really run away with it by just connecting everything, their families to the business, using all these resources to extract more resources out of the taxpayer. It's crazy.
this comes as of a 2022 audit of Somali Community Link, a Columbus nonprofit funded in 2020 by Somali migrants, exposed a reported $2.3 million in fraud from federal emergency rental assistance program funds. The investigation flagged missing rental aid, violations of cash management protocols, and inadequate fraud safeguards. Despite these failures, the group, tied to local politicians via campaign donations, secured $350,000 in state funding last summer for a community center, plus $100,000 from Columbus for housing and youth programs. Back in 2020, Somali brothers Hassan and Abdurrahim Nuriso, former owners of Tawfiq Market in Columbus, were indicted for a 9-year SNAP and WIC fraud conspiracy totaling over $10 million. The duo allegedly swapped benefits for cash at half the value. Abdurrahim, who oversaw operations, was sentenced to 2 years behind bars. Hassan got house arrest and probation after a guilty plea.
2 years probation. Another one get house arrest? $10 million? Make it make sense. Who's behind this? It's bigger than the Somalians. It's our federal government and state government behind this.
So you can defraud SNAP benefits for $10 million and you get house arrest and probation. Only if you're Somalian, I guess, because if I do that and if you and I do that, we're going to go to jail for a long, long time.
This is why it matters. Columbus has a...
The judges. Remember, the judges are the ones who's giving out these sentences as well. The government. We have to understand that. It is the judges. We've got the judges. We have the local officials. We have the state officials. We have the federal officials. And they all seem to be in on these scams that's being pulled on not just Minnesota, but the United States of America. And we're been idly sitting by, trusting our leaders to protect us and our welfare.
Second largest Somali population in the country, right behind Minnesota. So in this video, we're going to talk about Ohio, and people are asking the same question. Is the same scam happening again? Or is it possible it's even worse? Let's get into it.
Is this an attack on immigrants?
This is an attack on fraud here in the state of Ohio.
This Ohio lawmaker making some serious demands.
What kind of question is that? Is this an attack on the people? On Somalians? This is an attack on fraud, and she don't understand that? And she's supposed to be a representative? Are you kidding me? She's somebody that is with the government or whatever? Are you kidding me?
And what he calls reports of fraud within publicly funded daycares in Columbus.
You can see that this place is just a total dump.
More people are targeting Somali-owned daycares, looking for kids and suggesting fraud.
Would you call these video clips allegations, or would you call them proof of fraud?
That's just an allegation of fraud.
Now, State Rep Josh Williams, who is running for U.S. Congress, sent this letter to the Ohio Department of Children and Youth, calling for more unannounced inspections and attendance audits of all publicly funded daycares in Ohio. He also wants to pull state and federal funds on the suspicion of fraud, opposed to a charge or conviction.
We're saying the funds have to stop until you prove that it is not fraud moving forward.
I mean, you go through.
And that's how it goes. Stop the money. Why would you allow the money to continue when there is a possibility of fraud? And we know from one state alone, being Minnesota, that it is horrific. The amount of money that has been stolen from the state of Minnesota.
Some of these inspection reports, and you do see non-compliance when it comes to attendance. Are you suggesting there is widespread fraud within publicly funded daycare centers in Columbus, especially those Somali-owned?
So as you see, they're asking these questions. They're asking these senseless questions about what's going on, how it's being dealt with. But the question really should be, what are we doing about the fraud? How are we going to get the money back and not directed at is a particular group of people being targeted? Because that's not the case, as you will see here. It's just that the Somalians, every time we look, guess who's behind it? Guess who's front and center? The Somalians.
A potential fraud from individuals on the ground.
Columbus isn't random. It has thousands of daycare centers, home health care agencies, grocery stores, and nonprofits tied to government funding. Most people are just trying to survive. Most are not doing anything wrong. But history shows that a small group exploiting weak oversight to steal millions and millions of dollars. That is why people inside Ohio are starting to speak up. They're saying that this looks exactly like Minnesota. Same behavior, same resistance to questions, same money streams.
So these individuals tried to report the fraud that was happening in Ohio, and then eventually came to me to say that we're watching providers rubber stamp paperwork for home health. So in Ohio, and there's many states like this, Pennsylvania and other states too, where you can go in and you can say my aging parent needs a home health care, and I want to provide it. So the state will, as long as a doctor has approved it, continue to pay you. It could be for 10 hours, 12 hours, up to 24 when it's critical care. So you could sit at home without caring for an elderly parent who really doesn't need it, make about $75,000 to $90,000 a year. Now you add two parents, that's $180,000. Now you add your in-laws, $250,000. You continue to add this, and you wonder, what are the services being provided? So a lot of providers came and said, fraud is occurring because we said we weren't going to rubber stamp this paperwork, so they went to other providers. Their home health care network saying, we'll make it worth your while. Well, sounds like a kickback to me. So we really need to investigate the Medicaid system and how much it's increased since the Somalian population came and who really needs critical care, because that's meant for our disabled, our elderly, and people who really need it, not to just live off our system. And that's what's happening in Ohio. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's despicable. But authorities are now looking at it from the Attorney General's office to the U.S. Attorney's office. I flagged them all because this is Ohio tax dollars and we have to take it seriously. I'm tired of people telling me, well, this is the way it's always been. It's subjective and we can't really check. No, you can. Audit America, audit Ohio now. And I'm pushing for that in every single state.
Yeah.
And that's it right there. Pushing for an audit in every single state. This thing has to be dealt with. All of these different agencies and organizations must be dealt with. They must be audited. The government is too big anyway. And we have to understand that this government is much larger than it ever should have been. I do not believe that our founding fathers of this great country meant for this type of fraud to go on. Let's get into another one of his podcasts, and we're going to deal with now Washington, Seattle, Washington, showing you how this thing has run rampant throughout our country. I hope you're enjoying the content. Let's get into it.
Going on, and it's about potential Somali daycare fraud happening in the state of Washington, and more importantly, how the new mayor of Seattle, Katie Wilson, chose to respond to it. And when I say respond, I mean not so well. Instead of saying something reasonable like, hey, we support the Somali community, but we do not tolerate fraud, instead of saying, if fraud is happening in my city, we'll investigate it, she went a whole different route. She chose to label journalists and investigators as extremist influencers. Right there is a tell, because when politicians attack the messenger instead of addressing a problem, it usually means something is wrong. Let's get into it.
Oh yeah, I was trying to find the local daycares. And you guys know about what's going on. This is a licensed property. If you have a complaint, go to the state. Okay, I was trying to find out if you guys are a daycare. I was just trying to see. No, there's nobody online to ask, so I'm just trying to ask you guys. No, you don't have to ask us anything. I don't have to? If you have any questions, I do. I have a question. I was just asking you guys. Okay, you guys were listed on the website and a bunch of websites, so for daycares, so. It's yeah, no, you can. Yeah, I have. You can go door to door. So if you have any questions, go call the childcare check, and they'll give you whatever information that you need. Okay, so you guys aren't a daycare then? Not a public daycare, right? Okay, I didn't think so. Oh, I can, yeah.
He's in a neighborhood. They get this home is listed as a daycare. It could be one. But do you see the resistance? Do you see the pushback when they come and they ask, why are you upset? And then another thing, oh, is it racist? Oh, is it that you only accept certain people? Is that what it is? See, some blacks need to get involved in this too. Some blacks need to go around to some of these places and start asking the question. Bet you they'll get the same type of pushback, especially if they see that you don't appear to be a Somalian. Guarantee you that.
So these ones were really hostile. I just knocked on the door just to see if there's a local daycare listed on the websites. She said contact the state. It's interesting.
I can't believe we're talking about a different state. We're talking about Washington. Shout out to my dad. He actually is retired. He's living in the state of Washington. A dude from Brooklyn, New York, living over there. Much love to him. But let's check out this statement here from Katie Wilson. I stand with Somali childcare providers who have experienced targeted harassment and condemn the surveillance campaign promoted by extremist influencers. It says influencers. Yeah, influencers. If you believe yourself to be a victim of a hate crime, please call this hotline. All the audits I've seen, Nick Shirley and others, not one did I see that would be even suggested to be hate crime. So for someone to visit your daycare and ask questions is now a hate crime. This is where we are. So in Seattle, we believe in solidarity, and our city will not tolerate anyone who tries to intimidate, harass, or film Somali childcare providers. Such behavior is unacceptable and puts children and families at risk. If you're committing fraud, probably. Katie Wilson has a child, and when you call daycare, you check out the daycare. You ask questions, and daycares usually want to answer your questions. It's only when it's not a real daycare is when they get really hostile because you're stopping their fraud. But she doesn't understand that, or she doesn't want to understand that.
So that everyone has a place in Seattle. Do, as you put it, extremist influencers have a place in Seattle?
Well, he's right here, so I guess so.
Who, John? Or me? What is your administration going to do to investigate?
No questions, sir. No questions. No questions.
You can't answer questions.
You get a photo and then you're out. We're not doing press availability. We're not doing press availability today. That'll be later this week. I need you to move.
Wilson, why don't you call the people looking at the Somali daycare fraud? You all follow up.
Thank you. Have a good one. Take care. All right, take care.
So we just stood in line to get a question for newly inaugurated Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson. As I got up there, I asked, because she said in her speech that everyone has a place in Seattle, and I said, does that include, as she put it, extremist influencers in her statement? She looked at Jonathan and she said, well, there's one standing right there. And then I said, well, what's your guy? He's the guy. What is your administration going to do to investigate Somali daycare fraud? And she literally started pushing me away and said, we're not taking questions at this time. I said, you're the newly elected mayor of Seattle. What do you mean you're not taking questions? And her staff ushered me out.
Well, this is going to probably be something that is very similar to Brandon Johnson that's in Chicago, or maybe Karen Bass of LA. You're going to have someone that is
extremist influencer looking for truth, but they're now extreme. And they're finding fraud, but now they're labeled as extreme. And it is a hate crime now if you're looking for fraud. Give me a break.
not going to be able to be very transparent. They're going to be emotional, and they're going to find ways to either attack the people who are saying something negative about them. You're going to see this kind of tactic go on with her. You could tell in this administration, her being, I guess you call it a socialist or whatever the issue is. And the fact that she is not going to really try to do anything to stop a lot of this fraud. And hopefully the state can take this seriously, because in Seattle, it looks like that's not going to be a priority for her. She's going to look to try to ban grocery stores from leaving, and other socialist policies is probably going to fail. I mean, Seattle is in a bad spot. Hiring someone or electing someone who has never built anything, doesn't have any real accomplishments, had her parents basically take care of her into her 40s. Seattle, you're going to get what you voted for. You guys are in a really tough spot. She's talking about condemning extremist influencers, and it's pretty obvious. Talking about, but I didn't see Nick Shirley threaten anyone. He didn't break any laws. He didn't harass anyone. He did something very simple. He just went door to door and asked, hey, is this daycare real? That's about it. And what did he find? Many of these locations were not open, no kids, no activities, everything is blind shut, hostile reactions from the people, and neighbors confused. That's what you call journalism. Calling that extremism is just a cheap political trick. It's a way to shut people up without answering any questions. And politicians do that a lot, unfortunately. Because when you really look at it, all Katie Wilson had to say was, Seattle supports the Somali community, but Seattle will not tolerate fraud.
You're a racist. You're an extremist. You're a fascist. You're a dictator. Buzzwords to get the people riled up, really to get the left riled up, because anybody with any kind of damn common sense know that, hey, unless it's truly there, it don't mean nothing. You just can't say it and expect somebody to run with it because you said it, blowing smoke up your ass like they always do.
That's it. That statement protects everyone, but she didn't do that. Instead, she went straight to the group protection mode. And that is very dangerous, because fraud is not an attack on a community. Fraud is fraud. And when leaders refuse to even say the word, people start assuming that there's a cover-up. especially when Seattle is already broke.
Even if this was, let's assume for a second, a legitimate daycare business that's only serving 2 children, there is no world where the government should be giving almost $1 million or $750,000 in subsidies to this place.
It's incredibly easy to make fraudulent claims. Just, we're not seeing very much accountability.
And the agency...
No accountability. Again, no accountability. They'd rather look at and undermine these journalists, these young men and women who are going out here to find fraud when fraud has been alleged. They are the ones doing the work that all of these so-called journalists, it shouldn't be these influencers finding this information out. It should be these paid, long-term, highly recognized journalists going out here doing this homework, doing these investigations. But no, when you got your small influencers going out, oh, it's a problem. So my question then becomes, where are you true journalists at? Where are you people at who sits in front of us day in and day out? And somebody like Nick Shirley has to bring you your news that you now can bring to the people. And it doesn't appear that they're even doing any extensive investigating, knowing that this is happening. Everything we seem to be learning seem to be coming from influencers, podcast people, and not the true journalists.
Responsible for overseeing and funding these daycares is the Washington State Department of Children, Youth, and Families. And the person running the shop is Secretary Tana Sen.
But I'm also happy to report that we have more childcare providers today than we did pre-pandemic.
In order to get in touch with her, we need to reach out to the communication.
We have more childcare providers. Again, how were they, their history, how were they verified? Who looked at them and said and did an investigation? Who did a background check? Who was able to find out in their life, who are they? That they may not be predators. What is their history? But we don't have none of that, not on these Somalians. So how are they qualified to take care of children when you cannot do a thorough background check? I don't get it. I don't understand. So they're up under a different set of laws than us, okay? Because I believe if they could not do a thorough investigation on me being an American, that I could not do anything to oversee children, period. Being a man or a woman.
Department run by Nancy Gutierrez. We have called her numerous times. We have sent her emails with multiple questions about suspicious Somali daycares, some that are listed as licensed but don't exist when we knock on the doors.
6418 is not available. The mailbox is full and cannot accept any messages at this time. Goodbye.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again.
All right. They can't even get in touch with her secretary. Wow. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. It is just outrageous, the things that they're doing, how they're avoiding answering questions. This is big. Again, even these 3 states, now we have 3, Minnesota, Ohio, we're dealing with right now the state of Washington. And it's big. Wherever Somalians are, this is going on. And it's not just the Somalians. It's not just them. This thing is big.
We knock on the doors.
418 is not available. The mailbox is full and cannot accept any messages at this time. Goodbye.
Well, that's convenient. We're trying to get in touch with the DCYF, and the top comms person isn't responding to any of our requests for comments, and her mailbox is full.
If we do find... She's communications for this woman. She's is the one who is supposed to be talking to your reporters, to those who have questions. And she's not available, and her voicemail is full. Come on, people. Of course it's full. Because you all don't know what to do. And you don't know how to answer the questions that are coming your way.
We find out and we connect all the dots that this was fraudulent. We need to go back a forensic audit of how much money was actually spent, and we need to go retrieve all of it.
Let's assume the best. This is still inefficient. This is still a waste of taxpayer dollars. And the prevailing culture in Olympia doesn't mind that. They just don't see a problem.
And we could talk about this pattern. We saw this in Minnesota and we saw this in Ohio. It's the same setup every time. Daycare's listed as open. No kids are inside. Money is still flowing. Anyone asking questions will be labeled racist or extremist. They get very aggressive when you just ask, hey, I'm interested in bringing my kid here. What's going on? They don't want to talk to anyone.
Hello, I'm looking for some home child care information. Do you have any information about child care?
No.
This isn't a child care facility?
Yes.
It is. Okay, can I get an application?
No.
I can't? So you don't allow it to low-income people?
No, I'm not talking about the low-income already.
Okay, how come I can't receive child care here? Okay, wow. So she just literally said, I cannot get information about child care here.
Would that be racist? Oh, but you have to be a Somalian? I wish some blacks would go around and do this. I wish some blacks would go around and do this and see how they are received by these Somalians. They go ask, can I get an application? This appears to be a white man. I'm looking at the hand. But look at the place, a duplex. This is a child care center. How big is this place? How many children is allocated to be in this one facility? This one duplex. But as you saw earlier, they're going around there using their places of residence as business facilities. And that can be, but the problem is we see no signs of the children that you say you are keeping. You are watching. You are caring for day in and day out. It is atrocious.
My name's Nick. Just let you know my camera's
Hi there, Nick.
recording.
I am working on a story about childcare facilities in the Seattle Housing Authority's grounds.
Okay.
So I just actually confirmed that 11 or possibly 10 of these facilities don't have any kids at them. So I'm working. I'm sure you've probably seen the Nick Shirley story on.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I'm working on.
At some point, coincidence stopped being a coincidence. This isn't about the Somali people. It's about bad systems being exploited and politicians are being too scared to admit it. If your system falls apart when someone asks a question, the system is the problem.
That discussion time uses the same playbook, pick a vulnerable group, describe them as a threat, flood the media with accusations, then use the pattern to justify collective punishment.
Oh, yes.
All right, that's enough of that. That's enough of that. It's just this woman here. She's on there to tell you how they believe that they've been targeted, how they now using the media to go after Somalians, and everything that they're bringing up is not really them. as a people. Hey, that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of. That is what we're trying to get to the bottom of. Is it you as a people, or is it just people among you? But we know most of you are on some government assistance, which don't make a lot of sense. You all need to be scrutinized, find out why do you need our system, and not being necessarily Americans. We have to understand that. And these damn Democrats will not answer. They will not answer this question. They will not get into the fight to find out and uncover truth. Right now, to bring up Maduro from Venezuela, they have him here in America now. He has committed crimes against the United States of America. That's why he's here. But he is a fascist and a dictator. He lost an election in Venezuela and refused to leave the position. He lost that election and is still in the position, still stayed as president. The president that won had to get out of the country. And the Democrats right now are asking that this asshole be set free. What's wrong with these people? I thought you don't like fascists. I thought you don't like dictators. But now we have one in our presence in the United States of America being charged with crimes against our country. And now you're saying, let the dictator go, let the fascist go? You all are crazy as shit. And how are people following you all? I don't get it. But anyway, as you see here, we got 3 states, Minnesota, Ohio, and Washington. And it's still just the tip of the iceberg. And everywhere we're looking so far, who's behind it? The Somalians. Not saying it's all of them, but they are the ones that we're finding so far that are behind the frauds we're finding in these 3 states thus far. But it's others. But they just seem to be the ones that's standing out right now. But as always, if you have enjoyed the content that I brought forth today, please like, subscribe, and hit all, and share. All right? Until next time, as always, love you and be kind one to another. Peace.